Hey, this is the chair guy. When you first start out with the chair system, you're probably going to play diagonally, or at least that's what I did. And then you might progress to playing more vertically or horizontally, depending on how you look at it. But for me, the turning point when it really started getting interesting was when I started playing horizontally, more like a box shape. And a great way to practice this is by string skipping, because you'll start noticing the places in the chair system that actually are very horizontal. Actually, the whole thing is horizontal, like a box, in other words. So let's start out on the E minor root of E. And what we're going to do is we're going to skip to the next root. So in other words, we're only going to be using 4 notes here. We're going to use the E, the B, the D, in order to make licks up. And so we starting out with on our E. And then we can move to the second place where we play the exact same thing, but we cross the B string. So we're going to come down here to this E, and now we're going to have to play the next E with our pinky. So we skip, and of course that brings us back to where we can play that exact same lick and just kind of flow through it. In other words, you start out with that E, and you just play basically the same lick again, just on a lower octave. And this is a great way to start figuring out where the horizontals are, because the horizontals are going to be really obvious. Like in this area, you actually cover 4 strings. You can go from this A all the way to this D. And so you have that chunk of horizontal, and then this chunk of horizontal where you're moving from this A over here. It's going to be harder to know where the back of this chair is. So for the moment, we're just playing on the chairs themselves. And then of course you can start incorporating the bridges. And all 4 of these strings are going to be really obvious, and even this string. And then again, it's a little harder to start remembering the back of this chair. And of course, that is when you're functionally starting to see boxes within the chairs. And like I said, string skipping is just a great way to start locking those other shapes in, because you may begin by just playing along this chair, then playing along this chair, and playing along this chair. But when you start seeing those chairs in a block, it really starts expanding the way you see the fretboard and making it a lot simpler in a lot of ways.